All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbishesha Shunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading, studying, discussing the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 1, the later pastimes of the Lord, text number 260.
তবে সনাতন গোসাইর পুনরাগমন জ্যৈষ্ঠ মাসে প্রভু তারে কইল পরীক্ষণ।
Thereafter, Sanatana Goswami met the Lord again, and the Lord tested him in the scorching heat during the month of Jyeshta. Is Jyeshta the summertime?
Yeah, that's a first month.
What's that?
Summertime.
Okay.
তুষ্ট হয়া প্রভু তারে পাঠাইলা বৃন্দাবন অদ্বৈতের হস্তে প্রভুর অদ্ভুত ভোজন।
Being pleased, the Lord sent Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan. After that, he was fed wonderfully by the hands of Sri Advaita Acharya.
নিত্যানন্দ সঙ্গে যুক্তি করিয়া নিভৃতে তারে পাঠাইলা গৌড়ে প্রেম প্রচারিতে।
After sending Sanatana Goswami back to Vrindavan, the Lord privately consulted with Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He then sent him to Bengal to preach love of Godhead.
তবে তো বল্লভ ভট্ট প্রভুরে মিলিলা কৃষ্ণ নামের অর্থ প্রভু তাহারে কহিলা।
Soon afterward, Vallabha Bhatta met the Lord at Jagannath Puri, and the Lord explained to him the import of the holy name of Krishna. Purport. Vallabha Bhatta is the head of the Vaishnava Sampradaya known as the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya in Western India. There's a long story about Vallabha Acharya narrated in the Caitanya Charitamrita, specifically in the 7th chapter of the Antya Lila and the 19th chapter of the Madhya Lila. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Vallabha Acharya on the other side of Prayag, in a place known as Adaila Gram. Later, Vallabha Bhatt saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri to explain his commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very proud of his writings, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu corrected him, telling him that a Vaishnava should be humble and follow in the footsteps of his predecessors. The Lord told him that his pride in being superior to Sridhar Shami was not at all befitting a Vaishnava. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Shapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'm asking permissions and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. So these several verses that we've read, technically, they are part of the Antyalila, although the first part of the Antyalila, where Lord Chaitanya is still having regular Sankirtan with the devotees at Jagannath Puri, is the first 6 years is there in the Antyalila. So Sanatan Goswami, Lord Chaitanya met Sanatan Goswami in Benares on his way when Lord Chaitanya was traveling back from Vrindavan, this one trip to Vrindavan. And in Benares, he instructed Sanatan Goswami in all the details of devotional service. And that he asked him to compile that in the book, which was done in the book Hari Bhakti Vilas. And Sanatana Goswami did go to Vrindavan, but later he came to visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And just like Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri via the Jarikhand forest, Sanatana Goswami also came from Vrindavan to Puri via the Jarikhand forest. And on his way, he bathed and may have drank some water that was not was impure, contaminated, and he got all kinds of hives and leeches on his body, which were itching. So his plan was, when he came to Jagannath Puri, he would see Lord Chaitanya, and because it was the time of the Rath Yatra festival, that he would kill himself under the wheel of the Rath Yatra cart. So the itching must have been pretty bad, right? So Lord Chaitanya, he knew Lord Sanatana Goswami's mind. So he said, without Sanatana Goswami telling him, Lord Chaitanya said, you don't have any right over that body. You told me that this body, that your body belongs to me, and so now you're gonna damage it. Not allowed, not possible. So he chastised Sanatana Goswami. This is instructive for all devotees, because that's one of the reasons that devotees put tilak. This is a verification that the body is belonging to Lord Chaitanya or Krishna. So sometimes, initially in the early days, we said, for putting the tilak on the forehead, Om Keshavaya Namaha. Then in the belly, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. You know these things, different names of Vishnu or Krishna. But then later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the mantra that Lord Chaitanya gave for putting tilak on, where it describes not only the mantras, but also where you put the tilak. Lalate Keshavam Dhyaya Narayanam Matodare Vakshastale Madhavam Tu Govindam Kantakupake. So, it's described there. And the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, this mantra should be chanted. So you could chant either way, Om Keshavaya Namaha, or this mantra, while putting tilak on, to dedicate the body for the service of Lord Chaitanya, like Sanatana Goswami did and realized in his interaction with Lord Chaitanya. So then Lord Chaitanya, after that, after speaking that way and chastising him, he embraced Sanatana Goswami, and all of the problem went away. And he told Sanatana Goswami, why don't you stay? Stay for another year. So Sanatana Goswami stayed for a year in Jagannath Puri to the next Rath Yatra and then went back. So all this is described in the first few chapters of the Antya Lila, even though it's described here as Madhya Lila, but that first part of the Antya Lila is also there, Madhya Lila. And then here, you're familiar with this, perhaps, Lord Chaitanya's interactions with Vallabhacharya, who technically he identified himself, the Vallabhacharya identified himself in the Rudra Sampradaya through his father and teachers in that line. But when Lord Chaitanya was traveling from Puri to Vrindavan, also he stopped there at the Vallabhacharya's house. He was invited there, and Vallabhacharya, along with his whole family, they washed Lord Chaitanya's feet and took the water on their heads. So they were very, very respectful. But Srila Prabhupada says in the purport in discussing that initially that Vallabhacharya was quite respectful to Lord Chaitanya, but then he thought that he wouldn't get proper respect from Lord Chaitanya, so he started his own sampradaya. Very interesting statement. So then later, here he met Lord Chaitanya in Puri, and he was very anxious to show Lord Chaitanya and read his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that commentary is known as Subhodhini Tika. Tika is commentary, and Subhodhini, that means Subhodhini Tika. So he commented that he thought it was even better than Sridhar Swami, who was one of the original Vaishnav commentators on the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you search in the Veda base for Sridhar Swami, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of references given, not only in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in Bhagavad Gita and the Caitanya Charitamrita, where Sridhar Swami is accepted as an authority on Vaishnav teachings, the teachings of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. So when Vallabhacharya said he thought his teaching was better, his commentary was better than that of Sridhar Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then, with a smile, said, "Oh, you think you could have given up your Swami? That makes you a prostitute." Because Swami also can mean husband, is it not?
Yeah, some people say.
Some people say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that way, he was needling. He was needling Vallabhacharya, and so Vallabhacharya, you've seen people who have these bead bags that have they keep all their hand in the bead bag. There's no out finger. Yeah, those are the Vallabhas, or they also call themselves Pushtimar. They're Vaishnavas, definitely. And so the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya later took over the worship of Srinathji and many temples they have. So when Lord Chaitanya needled or chastised Vallabhacharya, Vallabhacharya accepted it at that time, and later took initiation from one of Gadadhar Pandit's disciples. Very interesting. Vallabhacharya. So it's a caution for all of us that the tendency is we want to think that we're very smart, and Vallabhacharya was undoubtedly very intelligent person, But that can get us into trouble if we think that we're smarter than the previous acharyas. We'll do it better. We'll do it better than them. We have a better idea about what Krishna consciousness is, about the standard principle, standard practices to follow in their footsteps and to follow in how they did things. Srila Prabhupada would often tell devotees, just see what I am doing and do that. There's a nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that goes, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam okuto bhayam yoginam nirnitam harirnam anukirtanam. The chanting of the holy names, following in the ways of the great authorities, is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who have material desires, those who are desiring for yogic perfection, or those who have no desire. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami. So always the best principle is to try to understand how the predecessor acharyas and Srila Prabhupada did things, and as much as possible, follow. Questions, comments, additions, corrections?
Is there any song that Vallabhacharya wrote, that Adharam Madhuram?
There's many songs that they sing.
Okay, I had one, that one, Adharam Madhuram.
Yeah, there's many songs.
Is there anything you can teach us?
No. Srila Prabhupada, like I said, Srila Prabhupada, he taught us certain songs, so we follow those. There are many songs. We try to stick to those that Srila Prabhupada emphasized.
The Adharam Madhuram is describing Krishna only.
Of course. We'll see later here in this chapter, if we get there today. There's some comment about that. It's very interesting. So many. So, on one hand, we generally follow the example and teaching of the predecessor acharya, in our case, Srila Prabhupada, as the Shiksha Guru of all of ISKCON. So then, what about people like George Harrison? George Harrison wrote songs about Krishna, right? My sweet Lord, you maybe know that. You really want to know your Lord. So, of course, that was, for the general public who don't know about Krishna. But, it's not for us to use in our daily sadhana. It's a little different, if it makes sense. So, if you're going on for the general public, do you chant Madhuram, Madhuram, Madhuram? You chant Hare Krishna. That's the simplest thing. Questions, comments, observations?
Very educational instruction for us, that however better we think we may be, or we must take humble position.
It's tough too, because people have their creative and intelligent ideas. I had a teacher who was teaching in college, was teaching creativity. So he called creativity MSU. MSU. Creativity means to make stuff up. MSU, make stuff up. That's creativity. Okay. So anyway, we generally we don't do that. We try to follow. That's our system. But even in doing that, the realizations can become very, very profound. Not just following like a recording tape or a parrot, but with understanding, try to understand, and with humility, and prayer to understand and appreciate those things that were given by the previous acharyas before making something new. Acharya Prabhu,
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
speaking of the previous acharyas, here he is.
I'll give a little plug because just down here in Florida, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami was just here, and he's compiled a very excellent book. What's the title? I have it right here. Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan Standards.
Yes.
So in that line in Kirtan and chanting, if we want to do it in the way Prabhupada did it and the mood he did it and the songs and styles and all of that, that's an excellent resource for those who are interested in that. So just a little plug for Maharaj's book.
Thank you, Acharya Prabhu. When I said previous Acharya, I was joking, just because you were previously in Philly, but that was with affection. With affection.
I get it. I feel the affection from hundreds of miles away. Thank you.
Yeah. Jayadvaita Maharaj was also recently here about 3-4 weeks ago, and but he didn't really speak on his book. He just introduced it, and people purchased it. So perhaps he spoke in Alacho a little bit more about it. Actually,
informally, we discussed a little bit, but here he actually goes and reads Srimad Bhagavatam and discusses it wherever he goes. So, but informally, I discussed the book with him a little bit.
Yeah, I have a commentary on the book also because I studied it a little bit carefully. Because he asked me to review it, and I gave some suggestions, and some he accepted, some he didn't accept. So, but I have a commentary on that. If I'd like to send it to you, you get your opinion on it when you have.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Yeah, this is a topic I've been interested in ever since in the 1980s in Boston. We got a tape of Harikesh, formerly Swami, discussing this, and whatever position he may be in now, he had personal experience with Prabhupada and was relating Prabhupada's words and actions and things in relation to Kirtan. So ever since a long time, I've been interested in this topic.
Yes. Harikesh was Srila Prabhupada's servant for some time in like 1974. And then he got very sick. In India at that time, if the Western devotees who stayed in India usually got some kind of jaundice of some kind. So he came back to the United States, and he stayed in New York when I was in New York. So
at that time, wow.
Yeah. So I was cooking for him because he couldn't eat the regular prasadam. So then he gave some of those instructions at that time also.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. And also, that I think an essay composed by Harikesh is in the appendix of Maharaj's book, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Other comments, questions, observations? Okay.
প্রদ্যুম্ন মিশ্রের প্রভু রামানন্দ স্থানে কৃষ্ণ কথা শুনাইল কহি তাঁর গুণে.
After explaining the transcendental qualities of Ramananda Rai, the Lord sent Pradyumna Mishra to his residence, and Pradyumna Mishra learned Krishna Katha from him.
গোপীনাথ পট্টনায়ক রামানন্দ ভ্রাতা রাজা মারিতেছিল প্রভু হইল ত্রাতা.
After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved Gopinath Pattanayaka, the younger brother of Ramananda Rai, from being condemned to death by the king. This is very interesting, and I know there's no purport here, but I thought I'd bring this up. Because, as said here, who saved Gopinath Pattanayaka? Lord Chaitanya, right? But if you actually read the pastime, what happened, was Gopinath Pattanayaka was in the employment of the government there of Odisha. The king of Orissa, Maharaj Prataparudra, in some kind of capacity is collecting taxes or something like that. So one time he didn't remit the whole amount that he was supposed to the king's treasury. And he told, he was delinquent about 200,000 little conch shells. And I don't know how much a conch shell is, but they had little conch shells were used as currency. So he said, but he told the King Prataparudra's son, okay, but I'll make up the difference. I'll give you, I have a number of very wonderful horses, and you can you take that as for my to pay the debt. So, but the king's son, the prince, undervalued the horses, and then complained to the king that Gopinath Pattanayaka had cheated him and not given him the proper money. You follow? So the prince, who apparently was somewhat envious of Gopinath Pattanayaka, said, well, we should put him to death. So the king said, yes. The king said, yes. So they built a platform, and the word they gave was changa. Changa. I don't know if that's still a word, changa. Canga, changa. Which is just a platform, either inside or outside. They have a pit of swords pointed upwards, and they throw the person off the platform onto the swords as a way of execution. So king said, yeah, okay, you can kill him. So they brought Gopinath Pattanayaka, arrested him and brought him to the Changa, and were about to kill him. So then devotees went to Lord Chaitanya. Well, first, when he was first arrested, even before they brought him to the Changa, they went to Lord Chaitanya and they complained, oh, this is, Gopinath Pattanayaka, they're devotees. Please save him. Please intervene and save him. And Lord Chaitanya said, I'm a sannyasi. If he cheated the king, he deserves to be killed. That's what he said. That's his, So then when they actually put him onto the Changa and were about to kill him, they came again to Lord Chaitanya and said, you have to do something. Please intervene. He's your devotee. Please. He said, I'm a sannyasi. I don't intervene in these material things. If you really want to help this person, you are devotees. You go to Lord Jagannath and pray to Lord Jagannath, and he'll take care of it. That's what he said. So the devotees did. They went to Lord Jagannath and prayed. But there was another devotee by the name of Hari Chandan who thought, well, let me just go to the king and explain the situation, and maybe we can avert the problem. So he went to the king and he said, he already offered these horses to pay the debt, and he agrees now that he'll make a payment plan. If this is not enough, you don't think the horses it doesn't cover the debt, he'll pay him, but he'll do it. There's no need to kill him. So the king said, you're right. Okay, and he let him off along with it, as long as he gives the payment plan. So this is very interesting point. Because here it says, Lord Chaitanya saved Gopinath Pattanayaka. But in the actual, in the details of the pastime, Lord Chaitanya says, I'm not getting involved. So this is taking stepping back and saying, oh, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, arranged all this. You follow? It's very interesting. Very interesting. So in a couple of things, so the idea of praying to Lord Jagannath for this person's safety, Lord Chaitanya suggested doing that. Just like when Srila Prabhupada was ill, he said, you pray to Lord Nrsingadev to that my spiritual master has not finished his work, please let him stay. So not just because of his material condition, but to continue his devotional service. that wasn't specifically mentioned in the case of Gopinath Pattanayaka, but the idea that to pray to Lord Krishna for his safety works. It worked. And how it worked was this Harichandan just reasoned with the king. Come on. So both things, prayer and some practical action was taken. And Gopinath Pattanayaka, the younger brother of Ramananda Roy, who was a very close associate of Lord Chaitanya, who was about to be killed by the arrangement of one of Lord Chaitanya's other big devotees, Prataparudra Maharaj's son, was averted. Isn't that interesting? What do you think about that? Any comments, questions? No? Okay. Next.
রামচন্দ্রপুরী ভয়ে ভিক্ষা ঘাটাইলা বৈষ্ণবের দুঃখ দেখি অর্ধেক রাখিলা।
Ramchandra Puri criticized Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eating. Therefore, the Lord reduced his eating to a minimum. However, when all the Vaishnavas became very sorry, the Lord increased his portion to half as much as usual. Ramchandra Puri was a godbrother of Lord Chaitanya.
ব্রহ্মাণ্ড ভিতরে হয় 14 ভুবন, 14 ভুবনে বৈশে যত জীবগণ।
There are 14 planetary systems within the universe, and all living entities reside in those planetary systems.
মনুষ্যের বেশ ধরি যাত্রিকের ছলে প্রভুর দর্শন করে আসি নীলাচলে।
Dressing like human beings on pilgrimage, they all used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there are 14 planetary systems, right? So some are upper planetary systems, some are lower planetary systems. So, but from all of those places, they came. There's a nice book that was written by Sadaputta Prabhu called Alien Identities. I don't know if you've seen that book. It's a very interesting book. But we read in the Vedic literature, there's quite a few examples of beings from other planets visiting the earth. And even in the Greek and Roman myths, especially the Greek myths, there's a lot of interaction between what they would call demigods and people on earth. So here we see it happens again, here. So some of them are from a higher place, some of them may be more influenced by Sattva Gun, some of them may be more influenced by Tamogun or Rajogun. So, but all of them, living entities from all of those planets came to see Lord Chaitanya here in disguise. Incidentally, Shukadev Goswami, he used to travel to the upper planets as well, according to the Mahabharata, and Prabhupada quotes that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there was some interplanetary travel without machines, at least those kind of machines that we have today.
একদিন শ্রীবাসাদি যত ভক্তগণ মহাপ্রভুর গুণ গায়া করেন কীর্তন।
One day, all the devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur, were chanting the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
শুনি ভক্তগণে কহে সক্রোধ বচনে কৃষ্ণ নাম গুণ ছাড়ি কি করো কীর্তনে।
Not liking the chanting of his transcendental qualities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised them as if he were angry. What kind of chanting is this? He asked. Are you leaving aside the chanting of the holy name of the Lord?
ঔদ্ধত্য করিতে হইল সবাকার মন, স্বতন্ত্র হইয়া সবে নাশাবে ভুবন।
Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised all the devotees, telling them not to show impudence and spoil the entire world by becoming independent. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned all of his followers not to become independent or impudent. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many Apra Sampradayas, so-called followers, invented many ways not approved by the Acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as Aul, Baul, Kartabhaja, Neda, Darabesh, Shani, Sahajiya, Sakibeki, Smarta, Jata Goshai, Ativadi, Chudahari, and Goranganagari. The Aul Sampradaya, Baul Sampradaya, and others invented their own ways of understanding Lord Chaitanya's philosophy without following in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself indicates herein that all such attempts would simply spoil the spirit of his cult. Well, this is very shocking and very interesting interaction here Lord Chaitanya had with his devotees. So who was leading the chanting in this case? Did you catch that?
It's just devotees. He said devotees.
No, Srivas Thakur.
Yeah.
Who is Srivas Thakur? Who is he? Who is Srivas Thakur?
He's associate of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Not just any kind of it. He's one of the Panchatattvas, right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very elevated person. A very elevated person. We say he's the incarnation of Narad Muni. So he was, and what was he chanting?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's names, quality.
The qualities of Lord Chaitanya. The qualities of Lord Chaitanya, Srivas Thakur, this elevated associate of Lord Chaitanya, is chanting, and Lord Chaitanya is chastising him. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is comparing that to the activities of the Sahajiyas. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I mean, hello. This is really shocking. And he's saying it's impudent and independent. Very, very strong. He's comparing it to the activities of the Sahajiyas, the Gauranga Nagaris, etc. So, but without following the footsteps of the Acharyas. Yeah. He says in the final, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself indicates herein that all such attempts would simply spoil the spirit of his cult. Wow. Now we'll see in the next few verses that Lord Chaitanya tempers this a little bit, but from right here, straightforward, it's pretty strong. Any other comments about this?
Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, this categorizing, even though some appears like referring to somebody else, but within the movement also, now if we do the similar thing, we fall under these categories. Aulava, Arthabhaja, Neda.
These different Sahajiya sects, each of them had a certain deviation from the pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And they're very nicely described by in the book by Bhakti Vikas Swami. He describes each one of these different sects and how they deviated. And it's interesting because we can see that some of them, some of those tendencies occur within us. and with other people in the Hare Krishna movement. So it's a good idea. One can read that and to get further information about it. There's a nice verse in the Ishopanishad that says, Vidyam cha vidyam tayas tad vido bhayam saha avidyayamritam tirva vinajamritam ashnute. That only a person who can understand the process of nescience and knowledge side by side can get the full blessings of immortality. That's not the exact translation, but it's something similar. So to know, how to do things straightforwardly, follow, and where you can go off, both are important things. Does that make sense?
How you're referring that to here? That verse.
Well, if you, well, in this case, they were, Lord Caitanya didn't want him to chant his glories, his qualities like that. But in studying the different Sahajya sects, like for example, the Ativadis, you see that the Ativadis, one of them, the Ativadis, they overemphasize the identity of the spiritual master as being God. Now, of course, we recite in the Guru Vastakam prayer, Sakshat Hari Tvena Samasta Shastri Uktastata Bhavyata Eva Sat Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya, that we accept the spiritual master like God because he or she is the confidential servant, very dear to Krishna. So at the same time, we understand that the spiritual master is not God. But the Ativadis, they overemphasize the identity of the spiritual master as God, and shortly after that, then whatever the spiritual master may do, they getting involved in kinds of materialistic activities. They ignore those. Oh, because the spiritual master is God, so then no problem. They can. You follow?
Yeah, I thought the Upanishad, that verse is referring primarily stressing that matter is also part of the Lord's energy, and one has to study, and spiritual understanding, studying about the both matter and spirit. That way I understood that verse.
Well, it specifically says the process. So that's where I'm focusing on the process of nescience and knowledge, the process of nescience, how it works. Like the verse in Bhagavad Gita, Jayato Vishayam Pumsam Sankasteshu Pajayate Sangachan Jayate. It begins by contemplating the objects of the senses, and then you get attached to that and like that. So there's a process, and so we can look at the process also. But what you're saying is also correct. It's not where they're not separate things. They're not exclusive of each other. But understanding what is matter and spirit, yes. But the process of knowledge, how does the living entity become put in this material world and covered by nescience, and then in an effort to get out, how do they become deviated? How do we become deviated, even in our efforts to extricate ourselves from this material tabernacle? There are so many pitfalls along the way that one has to be very careful of. And so that's what, in that sense, I was saying.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Should I go to the next?
Yes.
10 দিকে কোটি কোটি লোক হেন কালে জয় কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য বলি করে কোলাহলে.
When Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was apparently in an angry mood and chastising his devotees, many thousands of people outside loudly cried in a tumultuous voice, "All glories to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu."
জয় জয় মহাপ্রভু ব্রজেন্দ্র কুমার জগৎ তারিতে প্রভু তোমার অবতার.
All the people began to cry very loudly. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the son of Maharaj Nanda. Now you have appeared in order to deliver the whole world.
বহু দূর হইতে আইনু হয়া বড় আর্ত, দর্শন দিয়া প্রভু করহ কৃতার্থ।
Oh Lord, we are very unhappy. We have come a long distance to see you. Please be merciful and show us your favor.
শুনিয়া লোকের দৈন্য দ্রবিলা হৃদয়, বাহিরে আসি দর্শন দিলা দয়াময়।
When the Lord heard the humble petition made by the people, his heart softened. Being very merciful, he immediately came out and gave audience to all of them.
বাহু তুলি বলে প্রভু, বল হরি হরি, উঠিল শ্রীহরিধ্বনি চতুর্দিক ভরি।
Raising his arms, the Lord asked everyone to chant loudly the vibration of the holy name of Lord Hari. There immediately arose a great stir, and the vibration of Hari filled all directions.
প্রভু দেখি প্রেমে লোক আনন্দিত মন, প্রভুকে ঈশ্বর বলি করয়ে স্তবন।
Seeing the Lord, everyone became joyful out of love. Everyone accepted the Lord as the supreme, and thus they offered their prayers.
স্তব শুনি প্রভুকে কহেন শ্রীনিবাস, ঘরে গুপ্ত হও কেনে বাহিরে প্রকাশ।
While the people were offering their prayers unto the Lord, Srivas Thakur sarcastically said to the Lord, "At home, you wanted to be covered. Why have you exposed yourself outside?"
কে শেখালো এই লোকে কহে কোন বাত, ইহা সবার মুখ ঢাক দিয়া নিজ হাত। ইহা সবার মুখ ঢাকো দিয়া নিজ হাত।
Srivas Thakur continued, "Who has taught these people? What are they saying? Now you can cover their mouths with your own hand."
সূর্য জয়ছে উদয় করি, চাহে লুকাইতে, বুঝিতে না পারি, তৈছে তোমার চরিতে।
It is as if the sun, after rising, wanted to hide itself. We cannot understand such characteristics in your behavior.
প্রভু কহেন শ্রীনিবাস ছাড়ো বিডম্বনা, সবে মিলি করো মোর কতে লাঞ্ছনা।
The Lord replied, "My dear Srinivas, please stop joking. You have all combined together to humiliate me in this way."
এত বলি লোকে করি শুভ দৃষ্টি দান, অভ্যন্তরে গেলা লোকের পূর্ণ হইল কাম।
Thus speaking, the Lord entered his room after glancing auspiciously upon the people out of charity. In this way, the desires of the people were completely fulfilled.
রঘুনাথ দাস নিত্যানন্দ পাশে গেলা, চিরাদধি মহোৎসব তাহাই করিলা।
At this time, Raghunath Das approached Sri Nityananda Prabhu and, according to his order, prepared a feast and distributed prasadam composed of chipped rice and curd. Report, this is a special preparation in Bengal, wherein chipped rice is mixed with curd and sometimes with sandesh and mango. It is very palatable food. It is a very palatable food offered to the deity and then distributed to the public. Raghunath Das Goswami, who was a householder at this time, met Nityananda Prabhu. According to his advice, he executed this festival of Dadhi Chida Prasad. So this Dadhi, here it's called curd. And but we see often at times it's yogurt. So how is that? How do you mix chipped rice and curd?
In India, yogurt is called curd.
I see. And what is it called here?
We were taught dahi means curd in English. That's
Yeah.
why we call it curd.
Yeah, that's the British English, yeah. And in America, they used to say curd is this paneer, right? The paneer. So that it's that and paneer. So that's the famous chipped rice festival of Raghunath Das Goswami that we sometimes celebrate. That's been celebrated by the ISKCON Philadelphia Sunday School the last several years on the bank of some river. Is that right? Or the Shobaradhi?
Yes, Prabhu.
And do you make different chipped rice preparations?
Yes, probably not as extensive as Atlanta and the original Chidadahi festival, but we do try. We have salty preparations and sweet preparations.
And when you make these preparations, because there's different varieties of flat rice or chipped rice, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you use the thin flat rice or the thick flat rice?
Thick flat rice.
I see. Thick flat rice. What is the thin flat rice used for?
I'm not very sure, but I think thin one is usually used when they make the dry snacks.
Oh, okay.
Or when it is fried to be added to mixture, the snack.
Okay.
And if you're cooking, usually the thick one is used.
Okay. So this festival. So I wanted to go back to the what we heard about Srivas Thakur leading the devotees and chanting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's qualities. Yeah, we don't have to, but
Yeah.
And then when the massive people were there, they started to glorify Lord Chaitanya, saying he's the son of Maharaj Nanda, etc. And Lord Chaitanya's heart softened and gave them audience. And he didn't chastise them. So what do you make of that? It seems a little bit contradictory. And then Srivas Thakur says, he said something sarcastically. Oh, so you're hiding yourself with us, but then now you're showing yourself. So what do you make of that? Nobody? Uh, something to think about. So in different Srila Prabhupada doesn't comment on it, so it's a little, one has to be cautious about commenting on this. But he says, who has taught these people? What are they saying? Now they can cover your mouths with you. Now you can cover their mouths with your own hand. Because why? Oh, they were chanting the glories of Lord Chaitanya, right? Which Lord Chaitanya had just stopped Srivas Thakur from doing. Anyway, so in different circumstances there might be a little change, but anyway, Srila Prabhupada doesn't comment, so it's difficult to come to a conclusion about it. All right, we'll go a little further.
Hare Krishna.
What's that?
It's Shashi Shekhar. Sorry, I'm driving, but I wanted to ask for a little bit of clarification. Is that okay?
Yes.
So, in like a modern equivalent, or just try to understand. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chastising the devotees for chanting his name. Then Srivas Thakur is being sarcastic with Caitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So it's like right at the same time.
Yes.
And so like what's going on there? I mean, I know that's what you're asking, like, you know, in terms of, you know, you were just putting it out to us to think about it, but like, why is he doing that? Is it like a joke, or is it like a kind of a humor or some type of rasa that he has going on? And is like Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mood changed so he can do that? Or, I mean, am I just missing it, or is it not kind of explained in the text? It's just something left to think about.
Yes, it is not explained. But the one purport there is Srila Prabhupada related Srivas Thakur's chanting of Lord Chaitanya's qualities. He likened it to being impudent. Why? Because it wasn't following, at least according to the purport, wasn't following the ways of the acharyas. So he was critical of that, and he criticized not only just some devotee, some random devotee, but his own very intimate devotee because of that. So that's very interesting. And the reason he didn't chastise the group of devotees outside who were saying that he was the son of Maharaj Nanda, it says his heart softened. It says his heart softened. And so then he gave them audience and told them to chant Hari Hari. There's no comment on this, so anything further I'd be speculating. So I was asking you if you want to speculate. Yeah, but
So when
go ahead.
When Srivas Thakur mentions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now revealing himself to the public, is that because he just chastised them in private? Like that's what he's referring to?
That's how I understand it. That's how I understand it. I mean, you know, you're telling me to stop chanting your glories, but now you're accepting this. Yeah, that's my understanding. But you know, but the import of that and the import of that in the whole thing is a little tricky to understand. And because Prabhupada doesn't comment on it, I don't want to speculate too much on that.
Okay,
does that make sense?
I understand. Yeah, it does. Thank you. I understand it now. Or at least I understand what's happening on the surface.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you.
Are you stopping here, Ravi?
Yeah, it's 8:53 already. Thank you all for your attention and for this Caitanya Charitamrita class. Even Shashi Shekhar, who's driving to New York someplace. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhye vacha patitanam pavane.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.